Hi again, everybody. I wanted to take a moment and quite a few moments here and go over prepping the Citation Longitude for takeoff. This aircraft is very, very close to the real-life Citation Latitude that I fly in real world. The Latitude is a shorter version of its bigger sister here with an identical cockpit and systems technology. I recently got type rated in the Latitude, and now I can go into the Longitude and fly it appropriately. Here in FS2020, the Longitude absolutely looks phenomenal. I love their visual model. And I still use the one in 2020 all the time because the one in 2024 doesn't look as good. It's streamed, looks fuzzy, and the textures don't load properly all the time. But this thing is absolutely beautiful and works the way it should and sounds the way it should because of an add-on sound product by FTsounds that gives it much better realistic sounds all around. Engine, ground roll, flaps, noises, everything, the whole ball of wax along with FSRealistic. These sounds in the 2024 version are terrible. They don't sound anything like a real airplane, and I cannot believe asobo puts so little time into sounds and sound realism, and all the default aircraft are horrible. So for the most part, I don't like 2024 for all but just a few aircraft. But anyway, the sounds here are great. So, but that aside, let's go ahead and get this aircraft programmed for takeoff. This is not a cold and dark tutorial, but mostly just how to use the new Garmin 5000, which is new to me. Probably some of you already know how to use it quite well. Just real quick, I have the views program, captain, co-pilot, right view, left view to show me what I see in real life all the time. Upper panel as well. One quick note, this aircraft is very modern. The lighting is automatic. When the engine is running, the beacon is always on. There's no switch for the beacon. It's by itself in the panel. Anti-collision lights are strobes. Tail flood is exactly what that says, but it's daytime now, that can go off. And these other optional lights. But for taxiing and takeoff and flying without in the traffic pattern, this is the only light you'll actually see on. That's your strobe lighting. Just a quick note there. We're sitting here at Naples, Florida, where I am in real life today, in a hotel room, as I'm about to fly the real aircraft a little later on. But everything starts right here. Wanted to get you set for this. And what we're going to do is just run through a few things. We want to go to aircraft and utilities, and let's see, initialization. Let's see, back one. Utilities and weight and fuel. We're going to start with this. We're going to just, I'm not going to change too much. We got our basic empty weight, crew storage basic operating weight, payload. We can put in 2 people, and cargo. Enter maybe 200 pounds of cargo and give it. That's our zero fuel weight, but our takeoff weight is going to be here, shown in this. We want to calculate fuel on board. It's automatic. If we just click fuel on board sync, it'll show, there we go, 7,000 pounds, which shows the 7,000 pounds here and split evenly among each side. Landing weight, same thing. That's going to do that. We want to get takeoff speeds here as well. Performance, takeoff data. Origin is Naples, runway 14. Let's see, no, we're on 23 actually, so we're going to change this over to 23. And we're going to pick runway 23. There we go, 6,600 feet, plenty long. Weather, let's load the live weather, 146 at 6, and use the RAT, ram air temperature of 21 Celsius, which is right here. As we're sitting still, RAT and SAT should be identical. Static air temp and ram air temperature are identical. Now runway shows 6,600 feet, runway elevation, heading, and gradient, and takeoff config. We use takeoff flaps 1, and we are at 1. Anti-ice off, reversers stowed, and takeoff factor. You can change all these things. Takeoff data right here. Naples accept takeoff speeds 107, 111, 127. Only using 3,300 feet. Very efficient aircraft for takeoff. Very low takeoff numbers for takeoff run. This thing can get in and out of most places quite easily. And as we see on the PFD, they are sent. Before takeoff, we do a fetch check. Flaps, air brakes, trims, and speed. Flaps indicating what we set it at. Air brakes are stowed. Here we go. Make sure they're stowed. And speeds are loaded, which they are. And trims. Make sure the trims are set now. Trims in this aircraft are right here. Typical takeoff value is probably going to be around minus 3.9 or so. Ailerons and rudder, so trims are set. Alright, she is ready for takeoff. Around the pattern, and that's what we're going to do just now. Let's set a climb to altitude. I'll put 2,000 in here. FMS controls our speed that's predicated in the traffic pattern. It shows a 200 knot limit, so if the auto throttle is going to be used, it will keep us at 200 knots. And that's fine, that's the Class D speed limit. No TCAS today, I don't run the live traffic, so I'm just going to go to full map view. And change my range here a little bit on that. There we go. And we'll go around the pattern here at Naples. All right, brakes are coming off. And let's arm the auto throttle. It's in standby mode here, which is white TO for takeoff. And in real life, when you advance the auto throttles, when you bring the throttles up manually, they'll catch at a certain point and the auto throttle takes over. And with the FMS speed shown in here in pink, it means you'll limit yourself to 200 knots. So let's go ahead and try it out. Overhead panel, make sure the landing lights are on now. We're clear for takeoff. And I'll hit taxi lights as well. And pulse them all if we want to, or recog. Well, all right, those taken over, so that's good enough. All right, here we go. And we'll sound hear the much better sounds for the Honeywell engines. All right, takeoff, takeoff. It's green. I'm holding the brakes. Hold the auto throttle's clamped to that, and here we go. Speed is alive. 280. Heavy one, rotate. And a positive rate, gear up. Gear coming up. Starting a left turn to stay in the pattern. And I'll bring back myself I'm going to put in a vertical speed. That will bring my thrust automatically to climb thrust, and it's going to now hold 200 knots. And I'm going to level off here a bit, bring my flaps up. Oh, it's gone to 250 because the flaps have come up now, and it knows that 250 knots is allowed. We're above the Class D already. Here we are, speeding around the pattern. We're above the Class D at the moment. Now, this plane is pretty intelligent. It knows that the first flap is allowed at 250 knots. If I go to flaps 1, it's going to knock my automated computed speed back down to the next notch of flap speed. Let's take a look. Go to flaps 1, and it should bring my speed to 200, and it just did. So now the auto throttle is going to bring my speed back to 200. And we're getting pretty far out of the traffic pattern. I'm going to make sure I stay in it. And you can see on the PFD, gear speed is next. It shows flaps 2 in gear right here at this speed. Little bit of haze out here this morning. It's pretty humid. All right, I'll go ahead and lower the gear now. Gear is down and 3 green. Flight director come off. And second notch of flaps. The speed has now dropped to 160, if you've noticed that. 160 knots is the next set indicator. That is our base speed, and also allows the last notch of flaps to come in. You can hear quite a lot of gear and loud rumbling sound courtesy of FSRealistic. Alright, I'm going to get disoriented here in the haze, so I've got to look outside and change my range a little bit so I can actually find the airport. Here we go, entering a left base. What are the winds? Pretty good crosswind, so I'm going to continue my left base entry very quickly here. And looking for the airport, here we go in the final for 2-3. And it's pretty darn hazy, can't even see 2-3 right now. But it's there. I'm aligned straight ahead with a slight left crab. You can see the crab angle here with the crosswinds and the little flight lead line. All right, let's go to full flaps. At full flaps, it's going to bring my PFD down to the next stage, 140 knots, typical approach speed. At that point, I'll disconnect auto throttle when I get in close. Now you can see the runway out here with the strobe lights, lead-in lights. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect auto throttle at this time. I forgot to calculate a ref speed, but it's going to be probably around 130 or so. I'll use the AOA indicator as well for a good ref. Showing a headwind at 20 knots. Keep trimming. Those little trim sounds are also courtesy of the FTsounds set that's in here. Final checks, gear down 3 green full flaps. The spoilers are automatically deployed in this aircraft. Now with the beautiful display here, you can see right where I'm aiming. Add a little more power. I got used to the real world version of this recently, and it's so amazing when you get used to it. A little bit bumpy too. Can you some of the jip whiz in the background? It's a little quiet. 400 feet we passed, and it's getting kind of rough here now. 200 feet. You can see the winds blowing on the windsock out there. All right, starting to kind of idle right there. Idle thrust. Little crosswind correction. Woo, wing down. All right, spoilers are up. Go to reverse. $70 knots. Oh, right, there we go. Right to a stop. Speed brakes have already retracted, and we've come to a stop. Let's do the FATS check in reverse to clean up for taxi in. Flaps, air brakes, and speeds. Flaps are coming up, air brakes are done. Speeds don't apply now, but I use the S for strobes, so let's go ahead and we'll get the lights off when we exit the runway up ahead, or do a 180, one or the other. Beautiful looking aircraft again. A lot of fun to fly and pretty realistic. I'll just go ahead and go forward off this exit zone then. So flaps, air brakes, trims, and speeds. The S is going to be light, so strobes coming off. And double check my trims are back to where they should be, and they are. And there we go. We've completed all the quick flow items. And hope you enjoy the little fast blast traffic pattern in the Longitude. Thank you.